You're joining the Doctor Business Podcast with Dr. Hollen Meyer, where we talk business sprinkled with a bit of Jesus. Our goal is to help you simplify business, impact more lives, and increase your profitability. By sharing the stories of influential doctors from various specialties, we help you get creative in connecting with your target market, increasing your exposure in the community, and collaborating with local providers so you can reach more people and avoid burnout. Thanks for tuning in, and we're excited to help you navigate success in your doctor business. And now your host, Dr. Hollen Meyer.
All right, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Doctor Business Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Hollen Meyer, along with my guest, Dr. Andrew Oteo out of the Colony, Texas. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Hollen.
You bet. I'm excited. So I've known you for quite some time. We practiced around the corner from each other there for a long while.
That's right.
And you're part of the Wellness Doctor Network as well. So I've kind of learned your business model, and I think it's brilliant and genius and always growing. So I wanted to make sure to really get you on this podcast so that we can really tap into that value. So as we get started, kind of fill in some of the gaps. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how your business has developed.
Yeah. And so, I've been in practice. I graduated Parker University 2010. And through that time, it's just been a series of lessons, and we always, the kind of the saying goes in school, there's the lesson learned and then you take the test. In life, you take the test, you learn the lesson, and I feel like that's resonated so much with me just throughout my experience in practice. I'm over here in the Colony, Texas, and we have a pretty moderate sized practice. We also have physical therapy in our office. We do some wellness, nutrition, but really main thing is focusing on how can we help the person in front of us and what tools do we have that we can use to help them. And chiropractic has always been a big part of my life. And that's really the center of what we do here is it's a chiropractic office that offers physical therapy and wellness. So
Right. And the name of your practice?
Is Stonebridge Chiropractic.
Cool. Just in case somebody wanted to check you out and look you up. So how did you,
Sure.
and I know people always come visit your practice. So
Yeah.
how did you create and develop your vision or focus or style of practice, whatever you want to call it? And can you share a few tips with our listeners on how to develop and create that vision?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm very into what I do. I'm into what I do with chiropractic. I love what I do. And I think it's one of those things I'm naturally curious about, like, how are people doing certain things and like, what is successful? And I think it's kind of that natural curiosity that made me ask a lot of questions, So I would go as a student, I would go to different offices and I'd say, okay, hey, what is this? Why did you do this? And I would take little things and through, just kind of filtering out what I like, and retaining the things that really resonated with me. That's kind of what I initially figured out of like, hey, this is kind of the style I want to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then trial and error, as you're in practice, I had an opportunity to do a lot of different types of practices, which I'll kind of go into my story. But through experience, you'll learn the good, the bad. And once you are blessed enough to have the opportunity to do your own practice or kind of expand into your own space, that's where a lot of that creativity comes out. And you really get to see the benefit of like, what if I did this type of therapy or these stretches or these, type of adjustments? And you get to kind of create the art behind what it is to help people. In any type of discipline of medicine, there's also that art aspect. And that's really what makes what we do beautiful,
Right. Very true. So would you say that you kind of, you went and saw a bunch of chiropractors, asked a lot of questions, you pulled some things that resonated with you, that's how you kind of started out, and then you figured it out kind of along the way? And
I think what a lot of doctors get caught up in, and especially like my field's chiropractic, but it's that ready, aim, fire, and so
yes!
like I'm not sure, is this right? Should I do this? I don't know, like we're second guessing, we're calculating, and like we're afraid to make mistakes sometimes, but sometimes I'm just saying, boldly step out, try things, like see how this works, see how it resonates with you, because really, like, it could be a life-changing event for you to try some of these things too, and so I think we need to be a little bit more geared towards action, taking massive action and boldly stepping forward versus really not
Right.
having that faith, confidence, and belief in our product, services, and ideas. So
I 100% agree with that. I think so many people are paralyzed, right? Like paralysis by analysis.
exactly.
So, what is one of the best investments you've made in your practice, whether it's in yourself, your staff, or technology? What would you say is the best investment that you made in your practice?
Yeah, and one of the thing that I will probably never say is like a table or like a product or whatever is like the best investment I ever made. And I think you can resonate with that too. Is I invest in people, I invest in myself, and I think those are the biggest things. Is like your team and also your coaching, consulting, stuff like that too. Things that help build you up. Maybe it's a seminar or something like that. But I think my two coaches, and I don't know if I can mention their names or anything like that too. Hey, Jay Morgan has been with me from the beginning. When I was basically like at the point where I was like, do I want to even continue in practice? Like, this is really difficult. I have friends that are making a lot of money doing roofing. This sounds like a great idea, So,
Right.
I mean, and so it's not about money. It's about just passion and desire. And that's really what it is for me. Is like, this is an extension, like chiropractic is an extension of like my mission in life, like to help people, in whatever way it is. I think, more than just the financial fulfillment is the spiritual fulfillment I get from helping people, and just that emotional fulfillment that creates. So that's one of the beautiful things about what we do. But investing in people that can help elevate you to the next level is always going to be a great investment, and I will continue to invest in myself with that. So
That's awesome. I love that. And a shout out to Dr. Jay Morgan. I love it.
yeah.
So, what would you say is your most successful failure? Or if you don't resonate with the word failure, a struggle that turned out to be a blessing for you in business?
Yeah. And gosh, like for me, I have had so many different situations where I felt like I had it all figured out. Like I didn't need any help. Like I didn't always have that mentality of like the best investment is like a coach or a consultant or like, people. It was like, I got this. I don't need help. I got it all figured out. And I think that was one of the biggest things was my ability to break down my own ego and get outside of myself and say like, I don't have all the answers, and humble myself to ask people like in a way that I really kind of had to say, like, I don't know. What do you think? Like, I'm going to listen to you and kind of put my faith in your hands of this. Like, what do you think I should do? And I think when I really was ready to listen versus, just listen to somebody else versus my own opinion, I think that made a huge difference for me. So I probably have failed more than most doctors that I know, definitely more than most chiropractors that I know in different ways. And I don't see those as, really anything that I would ever change. I had this discussion with Dr. LaMarche the other day, and I was kind of sharing with him. I was like, nothing happens by accident. We know that, every person, every situation, every event, there's a reason behind it, and that's God guiding our path. But for me, each one of those situations taught me something really valuable. And that ultimately led me to where I am today, which is just a really great season of my life, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to help other people as a result. So
Right. I love that. And I thank you for just being authentic and vulnerable with not needing the persona of being perfect, and sharing with us that you failed probably more times than people have tried. Right. And
ask my wife. I'm definitely not perfect. So
oh gosh. Oh man. So you've mentioned God and spirituality a little bit in this interview already. How has your spiritual life played a role in your actual business?
One of the things, so this is the external part of that is we have our mission statement on the wall that has clearly indicates that we believe that, your body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism, that God didn't make any mistakes when he created us.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have something that's a little bit more unique, which is a prayer request box in the front office. And I have got to tell you, like having that, initially what I thought was, I was like, you know what, is that a little bit too forward about like, that we're a Christian-based organization? And then I was thinking, I was like, you know what, this isn't about perception. This is about what I want. And this is what I believe. And the moment I put that up there, I had patients saying, thank you for having that. Like, I really appreciate you putting that there. And when I look at the prayer request box and I'm saying prayer every Monday, I go through it and I just kind of see like what patients put in there. And you see things like, hey, my dad just passed away. I'm having a really hard time dealing with that. I just lost my job. Like, I don't know how my cousin's going to pay rent this month. Please pray for him. Just these things that sometimes get us outside of our egocentric bubble of like, this is our life and we all have our troubles in practice, right? Well, we're thinking about new patients. We're thinking about how do I help this person? But we don't really think about putting ourselves sometimes in other people's situation, their shoes. And that patient in front of us, each person on that table in front of us, they all have their own struggles, their own challenges, their own things. And I just think it's such a blessing for us to be able to, as a Christian, be able to share that faith with them and say, hey, no matter what you're going through, I'm praying for you. I'm praying with you through this, and you're going to be okay.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, did you ever wrestle with the fact of being so forward about your faith in business and in doctoring? Because I know for myself, like I kind of wrestled with that a little bit. Like, this is a doctor's office.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend people. And I thought about that for only like a moment in time, right? Like,
yeah.
But you were actually quite forward about your Christianity and stuff in your practice, which is beautiful. I mean, I love it. When I come to your practice, like, I personally can feel that something's different. I know it's the Holy Spirit, but you just get a warmth and a protection around you. I can feel it when I go into your practice, and I think that's awesome. Did you ever wrestle with your Christianity being so forward in practice?
Yeah, and I say God bless you to pretty much every single person in my practice. I think it's one of those things where it's a part of my life. It's an extension of me, and I don't want to just brush that under and say, oh, like, it's not right in a professional environment to be PC and say, oh, don't say God bless you, maybe say like have a great day, or don't have a prayer request box because like somebody might get offended. But it's like, if somebody comes in and they're like, hey, this is something that really offends me that you have a prayer request box, they probably have more deeper issues that they really need more prayer, so
or your office is not the right place for them.
That's and ultimately, I think everybody kind of resonates at a frequency that attracts people. And I think people that come into my office, they are there for a reason. And just like I mentioned before too, nothing by accident. And I feel like, even if somebody may be like not a believer, and they come in, I don't feel like it's a very offensive thing. I think it's something that people kind of understand is like, hey, it's something that it's important maybe to this office or this person. And if it isn't a fit for them, then they'll excuse themselves from care, and that's okay. But again, my hope is that every single person walks in through the door, I can help in some way and add value to their lives. So
I love that.
Maybe they just need,
Yeah, I know. And I've even been in a situation where we accept prayer requests, and I get some of them like, I'm not a Christian and I'm not sure about this stuff, but it sure can't hurt. Here you go. So at least
in the box, yeah.
It at least opens the door for them to be served with a blessing in some way,
Yep. So
thanks for doing that. Now, I do want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the 3 main points of the Wellness Doctor Network. And the first one is connection. What are some ways or techniques that you've been able to connect to your target market?
I think it's kind of speaking to their value system, and so for me, like we always talk about, chiropractic isn't just about pain, right? It's about wellness, and it's about correcting, the function of the nervous system, but what's important for that person, and so sometimes it's like, hey, I'm having trouble playing golf, right? We were talking about golf earlier, and that's a big issue. People will spend a lot of money and time and effort in trying to get back to doing those types of things that they love, right? And if I can help somebody get back to doing those things, then they're going to love me for the rest of their lives. They're going to come back, stay, pay, and refer. But at the same time too, like I also target my message towards, maybe it's somebody that has sciatic pain and they can't walk, right? They're having trouble getting up. So I really try to target my communication, my message around like what is important for that person in front of me versus trying to force, a square peg into a round hole. I really try to make sure that I'm kind of meeting them with where they're at. And that way we come up with every single new patient that comes in the office, we come up with 5 clear goals and expectations. And then we systematically start meeting those goals. And in a public setting, like just kind of going out and talking to people, I think it's really geared towards, sometimes they have no idea what a chiropractor does in the first place. That's usually the first hurdle is like, well, you're a chiropractor. I had an aunt who went to a chiropractor and, had a terrible experience. So I never want to go to a chiropractor. Right. So I think it's just being yourself and like not really, being scared to share the message with them of like who you are and what you do. I think confidence is a big thing that anybody looks for in a doctor. And I think especially that's what I look for when I work with people. So that's something too, where I straight up tell people, I don't know if we can help you. Let's take a look and find out, right? There's no harm in that. And then if we can, we can. If we can't, I absolutely always make the best recommendation to put them in the right direction. So
I love that. So with your connection, your first approach is with confidence, and then you're also trying to talk and speak and connect with that person right in front of you. So that takes a lot of listening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And picking up on that, and then kind of guiding the conversation toward what they love or what's going to get them to move, their pain points.
Yeah. And everybody's different, everybody has different things that are hot buttons for them, that they're like, if you start talking about their kids, like one of the things that I've learned too is, even as I'm talking to, like, I had a dad that came in the other day and I was talking to him. I was like, yeah, so how's this back pain affecting you? Oh, I can't play with my kids as much. And I asked him, I was like, does that affect you or your kids more? And that really hit him. He was like, you know what? Timmy's always asking me to go play ball and I'm not able to do that. And that's something that kind of makes him sad. And I think that is disconnecting me from my son in some ways, so
Wow.
It's a powerful thing of what we have. And that's, chiropractic is a great tool, and it's something that we can help a lot of people and change lives with ultimately. So it's
Absolutely. And I think sales is something that a lot of doctors think can be a dirty word, but it's so important in order to connect and capture that person so that you have an opportunity to change their life. And
exactly.
That's awesome. So the second point is exposure. Have you been successful, or how have you been successful? Because I know you are, in getting more exposure and becoming like known in your community.
And I think when I first graduated, I was like, hey, I'm a doctor. I'm going to just hang my shingle and everybody's going to come in through the door, and crickets, right? So we all kind of have that expectation of like, we have this great thing called chiropractic. We're able to help a lot of people and we're excited about it, but nobody else really cares, right? Nobody else
Right. They don't even know that you exist.
So that's it, so you gotta really make sure that you're spreading the message. Because if it's something that you are passionate about and that you are happy to share that with other people, then you need to step outside your comfort zone and bring that to people, so we do a lot of lectures. We do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of what's called lunch and learns, where I have a marketing director who's out there in the community, and she sets up a lot of events where I just go and I share, what we do in our office, and just get to know them, because there's a lot of other professionals around here that I know you're all about connecting with other professionals, which I'm about that as well too, because sometimes I like to go to dental office and say, what do y'all do? This is what we do. How can we work together? How can I send you guys patients, and vice versa, So it's all about those symbiotic relationships. And I think if you're able to offer value to a patient or offer value to another business, it's going to get reciprocated. And that might not be an immediate thing, but I think if you support those people that you truly believe in, all that comes back to you in tenfold.
I agree. And you already hit on the third point, is collaboration. So for you,
Yeah.
going outside of our specialty, for you, dentist is kind of your sweet spot, right?
And I think, so a little bit about me, my mom is a pediatric dental hygienist, right? My wife is a pediatric dental assistant. So
I didn't know that about your mom. This runs deep. Okay.
So when my wife and my mom get together, they talk a lot, they're dental, so it's fun. But, the cool thing is, like, I hear so much about dentistry. There's so much that we can do to help out with TMJ and even think about like a dental office. Like, they have their body in really weird positions. They're like over patients like this, trying to reach, different parts of the mouth. And so dentists, dental hygienists, I actually had a dentist that came in the other day, and she said, you know what? One of my mentors told me that one of the best things you can do to prolong your career is get a great chiropractor. She's like, that's why I'm here. I'm like, you're at the right place. So.
I love that. That person is so smart. Exactly. So next we're going to enter the rapid fire round. Okay. And I'll ask you questions and basically just answer quickly with the first few things that come to your mind. All right. So in hindsight, what should be the 2 top areas to focus on in practice?
I would say 2 top areas is adding value and creating better systems.
Okay. And what is the best advice that you have ever received?
Don't take swimming lessons from drowning people.
Okay. All right. What is one thing you see consistently in every single business owner?
I think first and foremost, you're running a business. We just happen to be running chiropractic businesses, or we just happen to be running dental businesses. But first and foremost, we're running a business. So treat it that way.
Oh, so treat it that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a charity.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying. Okay. All right.
I love charity. We just gave some money to a charity. See this? This is a big old check right here. So I love giving money away, but at the same time, it's one of those things that you do that in a way where you're not degrading your service. You're not, taking away the value of what you're able to offer, but through our practice or through our, message, we're able to bless many people. And that's really what I hope we can accomplish. So.
Right. That's awesome. And you do such a good job of that. Last question, and this is where we give back even more. What's the best resource that you've got for business, whether it's a book, a management company, a coach, affirmation? What's the best resource for business that you would recommend to somebody?
For me, I mentioned Dr. J. Morgan. I'm also part of what's called Level Up. And for me, it's a group of doctors that are like-minded, that get together, that just share success principles, and I think that's a really, really central part of why I've been successful. And I think there's lots of books you can read. There's lots of things that, there's no shortage of information.
Right.
It's the application of that information, so I think you need to fill yourself and really it's that 10 times principle, work 10 times harder than you think you need to, because ultimately, hard work is not something that is just a short-term thing. It's a marathon, right? And so if we're around those people that can, just like you, that continually lift you up and that build you up and that kind of help to get your brain in a better place, you can really effectively serve more people. So
absolutely. Cool.
I know that's a long answer, not very.
That was not short at all. I'm just teasing. The value that you offer me and our listeners is so valuable. So thank you so much for your time and for joining us and taking time out from your patients as well and your busy schedule. So thanks for joining us, Dr. Oteo. And to the listeners, thanks y'all for joining us as well. And stay classy, folks.
See ya.